Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we are tackling something literally every single one of us deals with, no matter who we are or what we do, problems. But more specifically, we're looking at exactly how to solve them. Think about the last time you walked away from a conversation feeling incredibly frustrated, misunderstood, or like you were just talking to a brick wall. You know that lingering exhaustion from repeating yourself for the 100th time? Or that knot in your stomach from an unresolved argument? Yeah, that is universal. So today's session is essentially a masterclass. We are focusing entirely on solving problems through communication, strategies for action. We're going to build a highly practical communication toolkit to help you resolve the daily conflicts we face at home, in our workplaces, and across our communities. If you're completely tired of miscommunications just derailing your day, this is exactly where you need to be. We're going to transform that everyday friction into structured, actionable solutions. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the miscommunication trap. Then we'll establish the 6-step problem-solving process. From there, we'll unpack key strategies, debate listening versus speaking, and finally, build out a communication action plan.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, the miscommunication trap. I really want you to picture this specific scenario, drawn straight from our source material. A group of people is assigned to clean a dusty, messy classroom. They all know the overarching goal, right? They all know the exact time to meet, but when they show up, crickets. They look around at each other completely empty-handed. Not a single person brought a broom, not a single person brought a mop or a trash bag or anything. So why did this happen? Well, it's because one member thought he would bring it, another member thought someone else was definitely going to handle it, and in the end, absolutely nothing got done. This brilliantly illustrates how assumptions lead directly to failure. The problem wasn't a lack of willingness to clean, everyone showed up ready to work. The real problem was a complete lack of clear communication beforehand. They assumed instead of actually confirming. And honestly, that is the miscommunication trap in a nutshell.
Moving right along to Section 2, the problem-solving process. Before we can fix communication, we need a baseline for how we actually approach problems.
What we have here is a structured path from chaos to clarity. Step 1, you absolutely have to clearly identify the problem. And actually, this is harder than it sounds. Often we get so distracted by the symptoms, but you have to pinpoint the core issue. Like realizing the central problem is that there are no brooms, rather than just being mad at your teammates. Step 2, gather information. Talk to the people involved calmly to see what actually happened. Step 3, generate solutions. Brainstorm what you can do right now to fix it. Get creative with it. Step 4 is evaluating those options, picking the best, most realistic fix out of your brainstorm list. Step 5 is actually implementing the solution, doing the work. And finally, Step 6, monitor the result. Ask yourself, did your fix actually hold up? Following these exact 6 foundational steps ensures we aren't just reacting emotionally to a crisis, but rather processing a problem logically and effectively.
All right, Section 3. Key communication strategies. This is where we start building our problem-solving toolkit to address those everyday issues.
The absolute most crucial first tool in our kit is active listening. It's all about understanding the problem by genuinely listening to different sides before you respond. So often in a tense argument, we're really just waiting for our turn to speak, right? We're busy formulating our brilliant counterattack in our heads while the other person is still talking. Active listening completely flips that biological urge to interrupt. It requires immense patience. It means you must actively seek to understand the root of the other person's perspective, their frustrations, and their needs, before you even think about opening your mouth to share your own viewpoint.
Let's anchor this in a very real, very relatable context, a family budgeting concern. Money is a notoriously common source of intense conflict. Imagine a scenario where the monthly budget is incredibly tight, and someone in the household spends money unexpectedly. If you assume the worst and start throwing accusations around, defensive walls immediately go up, and the conversation is literally over before it begins. But if you apply active listening, listening before responding, asking before assuming, you completely change the dynamic. By simply asking, hey, can you help me understand what happened with the budget this week? You're respectfully gathering information instead of just starting a fight.
Now, what's really interesting about this next tool is how often it gets misunderstood. I'm talking about assertive speaking and clarifying. A lot of people confuse assertiveness with aggression. They are absolutely not the same thing. Aggression is dominating, it's hostile, and it completely ignores the other person's boundaries. Assertiveness, on the other hand, is simply clarity and mutual respect. It's about using respectful words to express your ideas confidently and taking the time to repeat instructions so everyone is on the exact same page. It's having the courage to speak up for what you need or what needs to be done, but executing it in a way that fully respects the humanity and dignity of the person you're speaking to.
Let's apply this concept directly to a workplace scenario. Have you ever been part of a sprawling group project where tasks were submitted incredibly late because nobody actually knew who was supposed to do what? It's exactly like our earlier missing broom analogy. To solve this using assertive speaking, you implement a very specific strategy. You repeat instructions for clarity and explicitly agree on who will do each task. Before the meeting adjourns, you sit up, make eye contact, and assertively say, "Just to clarify, I'll do part A and you're taking part B, correct?" It takes 5 seconds, it uses highly respectful words, and it completely prevents a disastrous, stressful weekend of catching up at work. Clear agreements truly matter.
And we definitely can't forget that communication isn't just spoken. Far from it. Our body language, our eye contact, our posture, these are all nonverbal cues that speak volumes. If you're saying, "Yeah, I understand," but your arms are crossed tightly, your jaw is clenched, and you're actively rolling your eyes, your nonverbal cues are entirely destroying your verbal message. Showing genuine respect and cooperation without using words is absolutely essential for preventing misunderstandings. Additionally, providing clear, continuous feedback, like a simple encouraging nod, or saying, "I see exactly what you mean," lets the other person know you are truly deeply engaged in finding a solution together.
Okay, let's move to section 4, listening versus speaking. Let's do a little mental exercise here.
Here is an incredible guide question straight from our source material that I want you to really think about. Which is more important in solving problems, listening carefully or speaking clearly? Take a second, think about it. If you had to choose just one to fix a major misunderstanding in your community or your family, which would you lean towards?
Let's weigh these out. On one side, we have listening carefully. The immense value here is that it allows you to understand the actual root of the problem. If you don't listen, you might spend hours solving the wrong issue entirely, basically putting out a fire in the living room while the kitchen is burning to the ground. On the flip side, we have speaking clearly. The value here is executing a concrete action step. You can understand a problem perfectly, you can have all the empathy in the world, but if you cannot articulate a clear, decisive solution to the group, absolutely nothing changes.
So, the crucial point is? Well, it's a trick question. You absolutely cannot separate them. Problem solving needs understanding and clear action. Active listening provides the deep understanding required to know what to do. Assertive speaking provides the clear action required to actually get it done. They are two halves of the exact same problem-solving coin, and you need to spend both to resolve a conflict.
Which brings us to section 5, the communication action plan. This is where we pull all these strategies into one usable framework.
So here is your communication action plan. I want you to treat this like a masterclass template that you can use today to dismantle any conflict you're currently facing. It has 6 core columns, and the magic is really in its structure. First, you write down the exact problem, stripping away all the emotion to find the core issue. Next, identify the people involved. Third, you consciously select your strategy. Maybe it's active listening, or perhaps it's clarifying instructions. Then comes words to say, followed by the expected result, and finally, the crucial follow-up. By forcing yourself to sit down and methodically fill out these 6 columns, you take an emotional, messy, overwhelming conflict and turn it into a calm, organized, step-by-step resolution plan.
I want to linger on 2 specific columns for a moment, which I honestly call the secret sauce of this entire framework: words to say and follow-up. It's remarkably easy to just write down, "Oh, I will be assertive," but translating a high-level strategy into actual, respectful words is where the magic happens. What exact sentence are you going to say? Writing it down prepares you. It removes the heat of the moment, and it completely prevents you from saying something you'll regret later. And the follow-up? That's what ensures the problem actually stays solved. Checking in a week later to say, "Hey, how is our new budgeting system working for everyone?" is what guarantees long-term success rather than just a temporary bandage.
But let's be entirely realistic for a second. A template is literally just ink on paper if you don't approach it with the right mindset. For this action plan to actually work in a real community cleanup, a high-stakes group project, or a really delicate family discussion, it has to be fueled by these core values: respect, patience, cooperation, responsibility, and most importantly, empathy. Empathy is the ability to genuinely step into the other person's shoes. Because if you use the exact right words from your action plan but you completely lack empathy, if you don't genuinely care about the other person's perspective, people will see right through it. It'll feel robotic and manipulative. These values are the vital engine that makes the communication strategies actually function out there in the real world.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer. But really, it's the true beginning of your implementation. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. What communication strategy will you use the next time you face a problem? Will you default to assuming someone else brought the broom? Or will you ask clarifying questions, actively listen to understand the root cause, and confidently build a concrete action plan? The tools are firmly in your hands now. It's totally up to you to put them into action. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I hope you leave today ready to communicate with incredible clarity and purpose.